My dear student, now we are going to take up a new topic, that is contingent crop planning. Contingent crop planning is basically the planning of a crop in absence of the regular crop planning. Now the question is, what is the crop planning? When we do the crop planning, we used to decide as to what kinds of operation we will do when. What does it mean? It means that when we will sow the crop, when we will transplant the seedlings, when we will apply fertilizer, when we will apply irrigation, when we will apply different tillage operations, when we will apply chemicals, and when finally we will harvest the crop. So this is normal planning of the crop, and this planning is carried out on the basis of normal climatic conditions. Let's say if we take the example of Uttarakhand, in Uttarakhand the normal planning of rice crop is like that. We used to lay nursery in the month of June, and when it is almost 1 month old, in first week of July we used to transplant those seedlings in the field. And this transplantation is only possible when the sufficient moisture is available, and this first week of July is usually taken for transplantation, because this is the time when good amount of moisture because of the precipitation would be available in the field. You all know that for transplantation good amount of moisture in the field is required. Thereafter the crop will grow, and then we will apply fertilizer and we will also apply irrigation, but this irrigation would be based on basically the amount of moisture that is present and the amount of moisture that is being contributed through the precipitation. That's way then the crop will go through the different phenological stages, and then on certain phenological stages, when there would be certain biotic stresses, we will apply chemicals, and finally when the crop will turn towards the physiological maturity, we will harvest it. So this is normal planning of the crop, and this normal planning of the crop is based on the normal climatic condition. But you are aware that climatic condition will not remain same forever. That means one year the monsoon may come little early, another year it may come little late. So whenever this monsoon will change, will shift its course, accordingly we will have to modify our crop planning. So this modified crop planning would be known as contingent crop planning. Let's say if we assume that the monsoon is being delayed for, let's say, 2 weeks, we will also have to delay our transplanting by 2 weeks, because it is when the monsoon is set and when the good amount of moisture is available, then only the situation favorable for transplanting will occur. And if the monsoon is getting delayed for 2 weeks, so these conditions will occur 2 weeks later. Now we will have to accordingly modify our planning of the crop. Now what modification we can carry out? Now you can remember that the delay of the monsoon doesn't mean that you have not yet laid the nursery. Nursery would have been laid at the proper time in the month of June, and because the monsoon is delayed, so now the age of seedling would have been 2 weeks more than the normal age of the seedling. And you know that when the age of the seedling will be more, then there would be less tillering. So in event of that, to cope up with that situation, you will have to plant multiple seedling in a hill, and then when you will plant it, so then the result of it would be the sufficient tillering in the later stage. So this is what would be the contingent crop planning. Then you will have to apply according to the crop requirement the fertilizer and the nitrogen, and these fertilizer and nitrogen you will have to delay a little bit because the transplanting has been delayed. Similarly, chemical application would be on the basis of occurrence of the pests and diseases, but you will have to be ready according to the climatic condition, and these climatic conditions now will occur little later because the crop has been delayed. The monsoon had set little later. This is one scenario which we had discussed. But there could be little different scenario when you will have to change your crop planning entirely. And this would be when the monsoon, for example, is delayed for more than 4 weeks or so. If the monsoon is being delayed 4 weeks or more, then cultivation of rice will not be possible. So in that situation, you will have to even replace your crop, and you will have to take those crops in the field which will mature little early, which will require less amount of moisture, because ultimately this 4-week delayed of the monsoon will also result into less amount of precipitation. So in that event, you will have to grow a crop which will take less amount of time, plus that will require less amount of moisture, less amount of water. One example you can see on your screen. This is the contingent planning, different districts of the Uttarakhand on the screen, that was given by the CREDA. You know that CREDA is one center of ICR which is located at Hyderabad. CREDA has given this contingent planning for the entire country, and you can see for Uttarakhand you can choose this option from drop down menu. You can first select the state and the district, and then you can also select how much monsoon has been delayed. There could be other changes in the weather pattern, so but most important changes would be the delay in the monsoon, so that we have selected. But at the same time, you can also select other weather parameters in which changes are realized. You can see that if the monsoon is delayed by 4 weeks, and if the farmers are growing rice wheat system, so rice can be replaced by the grain cowpea or maybe bhindi or the coriander, and the variety which can be taken in absence of the normal monsoon, those varieties have also been given. So this is kind of contingent crop planning. So when you have replaced the crop, then the amount of fertilizer which would be applied, and when it would be applied, amount of irrigation that would be required, and when it would be applied, those will also change. So accordingly, you will have to also modify this applications of the input. You will have to also modify the chemicals which you are going to spray in the field. So this is how we can do a good contingent crop planning, and this crop planning will always be based on the normal climatic situations, and whenever these climatic situation will change, then only we will require contingent crop planning.